It is so sad that neither you nor Dad could witness the extraordinary things that I see. I'm just amazed, and I feel like I'm being transported to a magical country. Paul Nadar to his mother, 28th of August, 1890. Paul Nadar was born in Paris in 1856 to the family of famous photographer Gaspard Félix Tournachon, better known as Nadar. The latter was not only a photographer but also a writer, a journalist, an illustrator, and a hot air balloon enthusiast. Indeed, the first ever photos of balloons were taken by him. Paul Nadar started working in his father's workshop in 1874, where he perfected his photographic art. In 1886, the father transfers the business to his 30-year-old son and disciple. In 1890, the Compagnie Internationale des Wagons-Lits organizes a voyage across the Caucasus and Russian Turkestan. Paul Nadar may have participated in that expedition as an invited photographer. On 24th of August 1890, with two portable cameras, an Eastman Kodak, and a detective Nadar of his own invention, as well as a large stock of 3.5-inch films, he boarded the Orient Express heading to Constantinople, Istanbul. From there, he sailed to Batumi, then to Tiflis, Tbilisi, before reaching Baku by train, where he boarded a steamer to Uzunada. His final destination was Tashkent, where the first Turkestan Industrial and Agricultural Fair was being held. Paul Nadar's journey lasted several months using all existent means of transportation. The photographer returned to Paris in November 1890 with no less than 1,800 photo negatives in his bags depicting daily life, monuments, landscapes, portraits, and the construction of the Trans-Caspian Railway. The long journey yielded one of the first extensive photo reporting in history. Placed in the care of the photographic archives, today's Médiathèque de l'Architecture et du Patrimoine, they were published in 2007 in the book entitled L'Odyssée de Paul Nadar au Turkestan. Nadar was one of the first photographers to ever use a portable camera, enabling him to take snapshots of urban life in those days. Such negatives being easier to carry and use than glass plates that enabled him to take a large number of photos. A city full of contrasts and bustling with the development of the oil industry, Baku made a huge impression on Paul Nadar. The city displayed ancient mosques, centuries-old bastions, patrician houses, freshly erected modern European-style buildings, all facing the modern harbor. The old İçeri Şehir, the old town of Baku, with its little houses, street meanders, and the Shirvanshah's palace was in sharp contrast with the recently built Transcaucasian terminal, the Baku railway station that was then called Tiflis train station as the line connected Baku to Tiflis. Nadar captured everything. Less than 2 years after Nadar's journey, Jules Verne, a family friend, published Claudius Bombarnac, a novel narrating the story of a reporter traveling from Tiflis to Beijing. It is not unlikely that the illustrations drew inspiration from Nadar's travels. Here's an excerpt of the main character's stay in Baku. Baku, Baku. I woke up at the mention of this name when the train stopped. It was 7 in the morning. Surrounded by 3 bastions of black walls and battlements, the city was built on Absheron Cape on the edges of the Caucasus Range. Am I in Persia or Russia? Surely in Russia, since Georgia is a Russian province. Or perhaps in Persia, since Baku looks Persian in every way. I visited Han's palace, an architectural jewel of the times of Shahriyar and Scheherazade, the daughter of the moon, its spiritual storyteller. A palace whose fine sculptures are so fresh that they would appear as if they had just been completed. A palace whose fine sculptures are so fresh that they would appear as if they had just been completed. The city is bustling with life, with people leaving and others arriving. Baku is the safest and busiest port on the Caspian Sea. Further north, Derbent would not compete against the port of Baku, and it absorbs most of the maritime traffic of this landlocked sea, rather lake. The creation of Uzun Ada on the opposite shore doubled transit which used to pass through Baku. The Trans-Caspian, which handles both passengers and freight, is by far the commercial line that links Europe to Turkestan. Our cruise liner, named Astara, is owned by Compagnie Caucase Mercure. It is a big paddle wheel boat that connects the 2 coasts 3 times weekly. Having a huge hull, it was built in a way as to carry large quantities of goods, and clearly the shipbuilders were more interested in the stowing of cargo than the comfort of passengers. However, for a 24-hour passage, one should not be too demanding. Tumultuous movement of people on the wharf, some leaving, others seeing them leave, all hired from the cosmopolitan population of Baku. I found myself on the rail of the portside bulwark. Smoking my cigar, I watched the port disappear behind Cape Absheron's point, while the Caucasus mountain range showed up on the western horizon. On Nadar's pictures of 1890, some places are easily recognizable today, whereas many changed since. Goshagala, or the Twin Door, a city landmark, appears in its original shape before it was restored without its indented niches, with the silhouette of St. Nicholas Church in the background. The latter was destroyed in the 30s. The town walls and the houses later destroyed facing them. a most splendid panorama of the Bay of Baku, dotted with dozens of ships, and the Maiden Tower, captured from the oriental gate of the Shirvanshah's palace. The palace mosque, and behind it an urban panorama that was to be completed, transformed later. The immediately recognizable Transcaucasian terminal station, that is Baku train station, used to be called Tiflis train station, and the Konka horse tramway right in front. And the view of Baku from the sea shows the extent to which Baku changed over a span of 100 years. But the prime subject of Nadar's photography is people, lively characters that reflect their times, thus enabling today's viewers to immerse in the lifestyle and ambience of those bygone days, on the footsteps of a French traveler fascinated by the Baku of 1819. This photographic report impresses through technical mastery and shows Paul Nadar's sensitivity. It recreates the spirit of Baku on a November day 1890. This unique and exceptional collection is both a historical record and a lively depiction of daily life in Baku some 130 years ago.